Recently, a certain streamer outside of the Football Manager bubble that I began to watch in recent months decided to dive into the game I know and love, without knowing anything about the sport. That would be this man, Stanz.
You guys are gonna learn that I'm stupid.
It's been a few weeks since Stanz has been streaming his FM grind, going from the Qatari national team to 4-4 Athletic in Scotland's 4th tier, and instead of waiting around to see how it plays out, I decided to take matters into my own hands and did a little experiment. So I created Stanz in the Football Manager 2024 database, dropped him right into the 4-4 job, and simulated out his entire career to see if he becomes a legend or if he flames out spectacularly. So this is Stanz in year 1 here, currently at 4-4 Athletic, and you'll kind of notice when we go to him here that his stats are a little bit higher to start with compared to what he's had on stream. And that's primarily having to do with the fact that the simulation in FM24 sometimes can leave managers in limbo if they don't have a certain amount of talent, and I'd rather not simulate for 10 years in game to only see him on the unemployment line not getting any jobs if he ever got dismissed from his current position at 4-4. We also, I also went ahead and set him up with the highest potential possible in-game, which is 200, and that is to help him grow into the full-fledged manager Andy that I know he can be with the more experience he gets. And then tactically speaking, we set him up to have primarily used the 4-3-3 tactic that he started to use during his experiences on stream online with the Qatari national team, and to also have a 4-2-3-1 as a secondary tactic, since he started using that a little more often now in his recent streams with 4-4. And now that we got the background out of the way here, without further ado, let's get to talking about Stanz's first season as a manager.
Several months later.
Oh, he got fired from 4-4? Whew, well, I guess it's kind of what happens when your record is atrocious and you're not able to manually trial farm half your roster in the lower tiers of Scotland. Only 3 wins in Cinch 2. Yeah, this man was cooked from the jump. But this setback didn't keep him down for long, as Stanz took a job with Truro City of the National League South, which is in the 6th tier of English football. The problem is, he took this job in February, while Truro City were in a relegation battle.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Now, Stanz did better here than at 4-4, as he found ways to get the best he possibly could out of this Truro City team, but one too many draws in his games at the helm were not enough to keep Truro City in the league, as they got relegated in 22nd place. But in a galaxy brain move, instead of allowing them to fire him or drag him along to the 7th tier of English football, Stanz quit the Truro City job, and for the next 6 months, Bro locked in on completing his coaching licenses and waited for the right opportunity. That opportunity would come in late in January 2025 with Eastern German club FC Hansa Rostock, who were in the Zweite Bundesliga and struggling in the mid-table at the time of his arrival. Those struggles did not come to an end anytime soon, as Stanz and his boys at Hansa Rostock ended up in 16th place and had to fight, claw, and scratch their way out of a promotion relegation 2-leg series against Zweite Bundesliga's Arminia Bielefeld in order to stay in the Zweite Bundesliga. While it was a cagey affair with the first leg being a 3-1 loss, his boys rebounded in the second leg with a 5-0 thrashing of Bielefeld to remain in the 2nd tier of German football. He would not get fired for a 3rd time in a row here, as Hansa Rostock kept him on board, and after simming the next 5 years, Stanz grinded this one out in Deutschland in a similar manner in which the Germans try to grind out results in Eurovision every year. Mid-table results, a few 6th and 7th place finishes, and overall, it was a respectable outing in Germany. Although after his 6th year at Hansa Rostock, he opted to not extend his contract with the Eastern German club after June 2031 and returned to free agency to look for his next adventure in football. That adventure really meant Stanz took a whole year off to vibe and do whatever it is he wanted to do. But by the time the summer of 2032 rolled around, there was interest in his services as a manager from both Marseille in Ligue 1, France's top-tier football, and Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Within a few weeks, Stanz opted to return to Germany and take the head coach position at Wolfsburg. Stanz showed some promise in the 2032-33 season as he guided Die Wölfe to an 8th place finish, just one spot away from getting the club into continental football in one of the UEFA competitions. It was a very promising start, but while stemming the following season, well, you know that whole story about Cinderella and the dress, the pumpkin carriage, glass slippers, etc., etc.? Well, the clock struck midnight as Stanz got fired in March 2033 after some abysmal results in his second year with the club after only having won one game in the course of 3 months. It was a tough break, but his journey in Germany wasn't quite over just yet, because Fortuna Düsseldorf was impressed enough by his body of work to give him a job before the 2033-34 season. But much like his stint at Hansa Rostock, it was rough sailing in the first year as Düsseldorf ended up in 16th place and had to fight for their right to stay in the Bundesliga in a promotion-relegation two-leg series where they did manage to survive in the top tier of German football. Though, as a silver lining, Stanz did manage to get Düsseldorf to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal, which is Germany's cup tournament that functions similarly to March Madness, for the North American pilled folks who are watching this video. Anyways, much like at Hansa Rostock, Stanz's next 2 seasons with Fortuna Düsseldorf are much better, as he kept them in the mid-table during both years and helped the club reach the DFB Pokal quarterfinals once again during the 2037-38 season. His ability to survive the tough times through his coaching career and get results out of mid-table clubs once given the chance was enough for Dutch giants AFC Ajax to make an offer that Stanz could not refuse, as he packed his bags and immediately departed for Amsterdam to become their new manager, as Ajax was hoping to continue their stranglehold in the Eredivisie, the Netherlands' top flight. It would be with Ajax that Stanz would, after 15 long years as a manager, finally win his first ever trophy by winning the Eredivisie with Ajax. And also his first time ever managing in the UEFA Champions League, as he got Ajax into the knockout playoff round before being eliminated by Paris Saint-Germain. His second season with Ajax would see him winning the Johan Cruyff Shield, aka the Super Dutch Cup, where the winner of the Eredivisie plays against the winner of the KNVB Cup, which is Netherlands' cup competition. While PSV Eindhoven surprised everyone by winning the Eredivisie, a gutsy Champions League campaign by Stanz, where he took Ajax to the quarterfinals, got him elected as Manager of the Year in the Netherlands. Our boy's finally becoming an overnight sensation after a decade and a half of grinding. But hey, he got here, that's what matters most. Stanz's third year at Ajax was kind of a crash out year, I'm not gonna lie. They got upset in the Dutch Cup's second round on penalty kicks, did not make it past the league phase of the Champions League, but winning his second Eredivisie trophy and re-establishing Ajax as the top dogs in the Dutch league was enough to keep him around. He'd win another Johan Cruyff Shield in his 4th year as Ajax manager and get to the knockout playoff round of the Champions League, but he'd have to watch Feyenoord do the Dutch double, beating Ajax in both to the league title and the Dutch Cup on penalty kicks. Those 4 years within Netherlands weren't a waste, however. At this point, Stanz had been proving he can win trophies on the domestic level, and there is one very specific team in Spain that has been looking for a new manager that could finally help them break through the dominance that Barcelona and Real Madrid have in Spanish football. So, on July 15th, 2041, Stanz agreed to terms with Atletico de Madrid. However, I do feel this move needs a little bit of context. Atletico are kind of the little brother of Real Madrid. Their last title win was in 2021, when they won La Liga, Spanish football's top flight, and within this universe, they have not won squat ever since, while Real Madrid's been, well, it's been them and Barcelona dominating on the domestic level, and Real Madrid have won 17 Champions Leagues by this point in time. Needless to say, it would be a tall task to do anything beyond just keeping the status quo of Atletico being the third best team in the country. Stanz's first year is a lot of that. A top 3 finish in the league, good Supercopa and Champions League runs that are both unfortunately ended at the hands of Barcelona. But apparently, the first year was all that Stanz needed to settle in Spain, as he did the absolute unthinkable in the 2042-43 season by winning the La Liga title on the last day of the season, breaking a 20-plus year title drought in the process. Let's not lose sight of the fact that in Spain, the pecking order has usually been either Real Madrid or Barcelona, then the other one, then Atletico as the perennial bronze medalists. The following season, in 2043-44, was kind of what set the tone for the rest of Stanz's run as a football manager. Because in that season, he delivered Atletico Madrid not only a second consecutive La Liga trophy, not only the Supercopa de España and a Copa del Rey trophies, but he also delivered the biggest trophy in the club's entire history, winning Atletico their first ever UEFA Champions League trophy by taking down the likes of Marseille, Barcelona, Tottenham Hotspur,
Hotspur? No. What's that?
and Paris Saint-Germain in the knockout rounds. This man delivered a full-on quadruple trophy season and basically made himself into one of the club's favorite people ever in the process. And yes, this also got him an award as the best manager in Spain to boot. The following season was a bit of a hangover for Atletico and Stanz. While he did manage to win the Intercontinental Cup and the Spanish Supercopa as well, Barcelona reconquered La Liga, Villarreal took Atletico out in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey, and PSG got their revenge for the Champions League final by defeating Stanz and his boys in the round of 16. They'd follow that with an appearance in the FIFA Club World Cup, where Stanz and Atletico made it to the semifinals before losing to Manchester United, but officially did get third place by beating PSG in the third place game.
Wah! It's not a 4-1-2-1-2 gegenpress. Wah! That's you. That's f***ing you. Wah!
Keep in mind, these are just Stanz's first 3 years at Atletico. After simulating the game further, he ended up staying there for another 9 years, making himself into an absolute club legend in the process. He won 4 more La Liga titles, making it 5 times in total, along with 3 more UEFA Champions League trophies, 3 more Intercontinental Cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, that's the UEFA Champions League winner playing against the UEFA Europa League winner for said winner of winners type game, 4 more Spanish Super Cups, and 1 more Copa del Rey. Overall, in 13 years, this man won 24 trophies in total with the same club and made himself a slam dunk American Soccer Hall of Famer in the process. But after the 2053-54 season, and only winning the Spanish Super Cup in it, Stanz actually decided to let his contract run out and to call it an end to his stint with Atletico de Madrid. Mainly because there was a certain job that was uncertain due to an atrocious performance during the 2054 FIFA World Cup, where they did not make it out of the group stages. Thus, Nathan Stanz would go from the club football stage onto the international football stage, as he became the new manager of
the United States of America! Yeah!
That's right. The boy wonder from Yuma, Arizona had returned home. And he went to work within a few months, as his first challenge would be the CONCACAF Nations League. That tournament takes place on dates allocated for international friendlies on the FIFA International Match Calendar and was created in 2018 because the North American Hemisphere didn't play enough meaningful international friendlies before big competitions like the Copa America or the goddamn FIFA World Cup before this whole thing got invented. Or something along those lines. It's all overly complicated. But it didn't change the fact that Stanz took a bunch of American underachievers from the World Cup and some newbies to survive penalty kick affairs in the quarterfinals and semifinals against Costa Rica and Mexico respectively, before guiding the USA to a CONCACAF Nations League trophy win by beating Canada 2-1 in the final on March 30th, 2055. Having restored the faith in American soccer, Stanz immediately took that momentum and proceeded to go unbeaten in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, sending Mexico packing in the quarterfinals like the nation of underachievers that they are, and then beating Canada in yet another final to add more silverware to his cabinet. But his greatest international achievement would be his next one, as in the summer of 2056, he began guiding his country towards the path of World Cup qualification, and then proceeded to have yet another tournament in which he went unbeaten, as the United States of America took down the likes of Chile, Argentina, Venezuela, and Colombia in order to win the 2056 Copa America, the biggest international competition in the Western Hemisphere between teams from North and South America. But, to the shock of American and worldwide pundits, Stanz resigned immediately in the aftermath of his Copa America triumph. It would make more sense in the coming days, as Nathan Stanz would be calling it a coaching career at last on January 4th, 2057. And then, January 4th came about, and Nathan Stanz called it a career. 7 clubs and 1 national team coached. 30 trophies in total across those 8 jobs, and multiple Manager of the Year awards in various countries, including becoming a club legend in Atletico de Madrid to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if they built a statue of him to put outside the stadium. That's how great he was in his time in Madrid and in the latter years of the simulation. So hey, Stanz, no pressure or anything. I'm sure you'll become a legend in your FM save over on Twitch, and for those who want to see Stanz's adventure for themselves, I'll leave the links to his channels on the description. But thank you for entertaining this whole experiment of mine, and I'll catch you all later. Take care.